A lot of sellers, when they sell a graphics card nowadays, they'll just sell it to you and pretty much just get an air blower, clean all the dust out, and then still hand you over a dirty GPU. And in this case, we got 7 GTX 1060s when we were in Taiwan, and they were a really good price. We got them for under $40 a pop, and we also made sure that they worked before we bought them. However, I noticed that they're still extremely dirty. So what we're gonna do in today's video is take each of these GPUs, mark them, and put them on the test bench and see what temperatures and also performance we're getting, and then we're gonna run them through tap water and detergent and give them the ultrasonic cleaner and really get all the dust off these things, put some new thermal paste on, then come back to that test bench system and show you what you could be missing out on if you decide to just go with the simple air blower route. Let's get straight into it right after today's sponsor spot. Also, I am not gonna lie guys, I've just wanted an excuse to use the ultrasonic cleaner too. Never pay full price for Windows 10 or 11 again. With today's video sponsor, SCD Keys, you can get activated as little as $15 using that coupon, BFTYC. Links in the description below. So we're now benchmarking the final GPU in Unigine Heaven, and we've got some interesting results already where the cards are going from anywhere from under 70 degrees to nearly 80 degrees. The scores, however, are all pretty similar, all over 2,000 points. I think the worst score was the GPU, the GTX 1060 with the highest temperatures. And the ultrasonic cleaner, so we've pulled all the GPUs apart except for the final one being benchmarked right now, but we can just see that there's just so much dirt underneath these cards, especially where the air blower cannot get to, and the dust is just really heavily ingrained on the actual card itself and the heat sink. So this is where the ultrasonic cleaner really comes into its element here, and it just starts getting all this grime off, and actually really quickly. So let's get this last card, the results jotted down and pulled apart, and we're gonna start the ultrasonic cleaning process. So now comes the fun part, and that is getting our ultrasonic cleaner ready to go, sealed off, and then we're just gonna try and actually get all 7 of these GPUs cleaned in one go, because, you know, efficiency and all that. So we kind of gotta just micromanage any spots that we have here. I think we're gonna be like just off in terms of our space, but we'll try. It would just be okay. Okay, there we go. The lid's gonna be a little bit full here, but it should work out. It should be okay. All right, there we go. And so just after that, we can use some detergent. This is some Morning Fresh and also some hot water. So I'm just gonna start getting that in. Getting the detergent all in there. Probably using way too much, but hey, it's always better to be safe than sorry. All right, everything is nice and submerged. Probably overdid it, but all right. Now for this, we want to use hot water. So we already put hot water in, but we want to make sure it's 70 degrees, and usually find the magic number here is a 15-minute clean at 70 degrees, and it works really well. Now it's going to be unbearable for the microphone, I think, so we're going to come back in 15 minutes and see how much dirt is left behind. So now the clean is finished, we are going to start letting all the dirty water out, and this is actually really crazy. You can just see how dirty the water is coming out of it. Like, wow. That's filthy water. There's like some orange mucky water down there. It's actually pretty crazy. So after the water's been all drained, we're just going to now take all these parts out one by one and just wash them all down to make sure all the excess dirt is off the GPU itself. And then we can get on to the next part, which is probably the funnest. Whew. And looking inside this ultrasonic cleaner, the only thing I can say here is yikes. So before we had the fun part, now we've got the ultra fun part, and that is to get all this water off the cards. And now, of course, we want to make sure there is no water left on either the card or the cooler, because tap water especially is capacitive and you can short things out and make short work of your brand new restored card. But in this case, we've got a vacuum cleaner head because I left my usual cleaning brush over in Japan, and we're just going to rub these cards down, spray a bit of multi-purpose spray, aka WD-40, on all the cards, and we're going to, after that, just start brushing them and then hosing them off with the air blower and getting all that water off and making sure they're really nice and brand new after this. So So we've now got one card cleaned up, and it's also benchmarking right now. And then while that card is benchmarking, we're actually going to be cleaning up the next card. And this is all about time efficiency here at Tech Yes City, especially since after I'm done with these GTX 1060s, I'm going to be putting them in gaming PCs and flipping them eventually. Now, one thing as well is that I do have to I've tested out the first card right now. I want to know how much time I roughly need to spend getting all the water off. Sometimes you have to spend that extra 5 minutes per card just to make sure every single drop is not only off the back here underneath the back plate, but also away from the fans. So this process can take a little while, but let's see the before and after results once we get through them all. Now we're finished testing all these GTX 1060s. We've got results that range from decent to really good. And the decent result was the #1 card here that scored 68 degrees down to 65 degrees and had the same performance. And then the best case scenario was #5, which went from 78 degrees down to 67 degrees and also got a performance uplift with that Unigine Heavens score. In fact, 6 of the 7 GPUs did get a performance bump, and all the GPUs had their temperatures drop from 3 to 11 degrees. And with those results, I can say with 100% confidence, at least from this sample size of 7 here, that if you decide to clean up a dirty GPU, especially one that you've bought off the used market, you are going to get some benefit, at the very least, to a very good benefit. And for me, the biggest surprise with all this was the amount of dirt that was left over in that ultrasonic cleaner after we emptied it out. I mean, nearly the whole floor was just covered in dirt on that cleaner, and that was really surprising because I haven't seen that much dirt come out of especially graphics cards before. And also we've got everything running much better. The cards look like they're in really good shape now, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of life in the future. Now, we did test for these tests at a 60% static fan speed across before and after tests, and it was in a 25-degree ambient environment. So the results you're seeing here are also apples to apples in the before and after testing. Now, another thing that surprised me with these cards was the thermal pads. In that Gigabyte, they used in this particular GTX 1066 Gigabyte an extra thermal pad that was just doing nothing. It was meant to cover, I guess, 2 VRAM chips, but there was no 2 VRAM chips on this GTX 1060. So perhaps they used this cooler on, say, a GTX 1050 Ti that had all those VRAM slots filled out, and that's why they just mass produced it and left the thermal pads on this GTX 1066 Gigabyte. So what we did there was we pulled off all those spares, and now we've got an extra 7 thermal pads that we can use in the future. So we've also gained something from cleaning up these GPUs besides that performance benefit. Though another thing you may notice is I also saved a lot of time here today by not taking off the backplate fully and not detaching the heat sink from the 2 fans and its plate there. And the reason I did this, of course, is just to save time. We've got 7 cards, and if I went to town on each of those and just fully in and out clean them, I would be here all night until midnight, and I'm not going to get my money back when it comes to flipping those PCs for the time I spend. So one thing you'll see at Tech City is I'm just going to optimize a lot of the time, efficiency above everything else, and the results, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have changed if I had done all that extra cleaning too. But what we've got here is 95% of the end result for about 30% of the time. And so that's what it's all about if you're into flipping PCs, is getting the most out of your time. And so we definitely got a lot for our time here today. Anyway guys, with that aside, I hope you enjoyed today's before and after cleaning up these used GPUs. If there's anything you would do differently, do let us know in the comment section below. But I'm just showing you guys the whole process here, as well as cleaning up these parts. I really love doing it. It just really brings a smile to my face seeing the before and after. And we've actually got the question of the day here, which relates perfectly to cleaning up used parts, especially in relation to wet components. This comes from Byron Smith, and they ask, how long do you wait for the components to dry after using the contactless cleaner, or the parts cleaner, aka brake cleaner, which we used in a different video where we cleaned up a PC that actually had a GTX 1066 Gigabyte in it. And here is where we, honestly, at Tech City, I just clean up the parts, whether it's water or brake cleaner, until my hand can feel no liquid blowing into it off the air blower itself. So hold the component in your hand, just go all around the card. I'd say for at least a good 5 minutes on each piece, whether it's the GPU or the cooler itself. Make sure you go into all those areas where there's electronics and just make sure there is no wet residue left over. And so that's what we did here today. That's what I did in Japan. And it can take around 5 minutes. Sometimes it can take 10 minutes, especially if it's really humid. In Australia, it's usually pretty dry, so 5 minutes should be enough, and that should give you really good results. Now, of course, if you put the card back together and there is some problems, I'd take it apart again and just blow it down even more. Make sure all the liquid is out of that GPU or that component you are cleaning. Though if you don't have an air blower, I would highly recommend getting one. The one I used in Japan is actually more powerful than the one I'm using here. and that one was only around about $30. So if you're into cleaning PC parts regularly, this is a tool you absolutely have to have, in my opinion. Though hopefully that answers that question, and I look forward to giving you guys much more budget builds on this channel going forward. With that aside, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button and ring that bell to get the content as soon as it drops. Hit that sub button, and I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.